WJHC 90.3 FM.
Yo, but we are nothing friend from see the first time after trust in skin. No be why you get anything you like. Lovers you are right, then me alright. Me know you matter so
Your voice, your music.
got me in a first, our jeans are short shots. Red race when me walk past. Me feel the eyes, believe the eyes. Me love the life, me sweet smile. Baby, pana, it's so like you are like. I get to run, baby, pana. Anywhere let's go, I can follow you to go. Baby, you wanna go?
You're listening to WGHC 90.3 FM. Your voice, your music, your station. WGHC 90.3.
All right, thank you all for tuning in to WJC 98.3 FM, your voice of music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I'm a serial entrepreneur as well as a wealth multiplier. I'm the CEO and founder of Badu Enterprises, which is a multinational conglomerate in the finance industry. What we do is we provide a suite of financial services, including tax preparation, credit repair, financial coaching, and things of that nature. Today we'll be going over some tax tips for business owners, some things that you can implement today. Of course, anything we talk about that you don't understand, you can always reach out to me for more information. But we'll be talking about some tips and tricks, how to maneuver the tax system, how to make sure you're properly organized from a tax standpoint, make sure you're doing everything correctly, and also taking advantage of things like tax deductions. Before we do that, let's kick it off with a market report. This report is as of October 25th, 2019, so as of last Friday. So solid corporate earnings reports and encouraging signs on the trade war front spurred stocks higher last week. The S&P 500 reached its second highest closing value by last Friday. Second highest closing value, can you imagine? By last Friday, while the Dow Jones is nearing a record high. Word came from government officials last Friday that progress had been made in negotiations with China on the first phase of a potential trade agreement, which is good news, between the two economic giants. Of the indexes, the technology-heavy NASDAQ led the way, gaining almost 2%, followed by the small caps of the Russell 2000, which surged over 1.5%. The large caps of the S&P 500 and Dow also fared well. So overall, we had a pretty good week. The stock market did great, or did pretty good, and there's a lot of great things that are in store for the near future. Even the global Dow rose more than 1%. As to corporate earnings, the majority of S&P 500 companies posting earnings for the third quarter beat analyst expectations. Investors may also, so here's a bonus, this will actually more than 99% chance of happening basically. Investors may also be anticipating the Federal Reserve dropping interest rates this week following its October meeting. So basically this Wednesday or so, or around then, the Federal Reserve is expected to reduce interest rates for the third time this year. So a third interest rate decrease is expected to happen by this Wednesday, which is great news for investors. It means that the stock market will probably go up. It means the economy will probably be more stabilized because it's cheaper to borrow money. As you may know, the U.S. is a very capitalistic society. We rely a lot on borrowed funds. So when you lower interest rates, it makes investors happy because they can borrow money, invest, do whatever they want. So overall, the stock market did good. Don't need to panic. I think we'll end off the year fabulously. We'll probably have the best year in the stock market in the past 9-10 plus years or so. 2 years ago we had great stock market. This year I think we're going to have an excellent stock market with all these great news that are happening towards the end of the year. Of course, November is this Friday, so we're just about 2 months out for the year end. Oil prices climbed last week, $53.71 per barrel to $56.65. And then the price of COMEX gold went up $14.93.60 to $15.07.10. So overall, I mean, the markets did great. It did fabulous. I think we have a lot of room to grow. So I think overall, the fact that we did pretty good means that there's a lot of great things in store this year. Not only just this year, but also next year. I think there's a lot of great things in store. Dow Jones so far this year is up 15.56%. NASDAQ technology stocks mainly is up 24.23%. Huge. Almost up 25%. S&P 500 is up 20.57%. Russell 2000 is up 15.58%. Global Dow is up 12.51%. Federal funds rate is currently at 1.75 to 2%. By this Wednesday, you should expect it to drop to 1.5 to 1.75%. Basically meaning the Federal Reserve has reduced interest rates for the third time this year in order to stabilize the economy even more. So I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think there will be a recession anytime soon. I think the fact that the stock market is doing great indicates that we'll continue on this ride. We've had a fabulous year. 2019 has been awesome, and we hope to have a very successful 2020. I think 2020 is a big year. It's a year a lot of people were looking forward to, especially for me. So today, let's just get into the topic here. First of all, thank you guys for tuning in to WGHT 98.3 FM, your voice of music, your station. This is the show Money Talks, where all we talk is money. We discuss money topics, and we provide some insight when it comes to different financial topics. If you are interested in chiming in, or if you're interested, you have any questions or anything of that sort, you can catch me live on Facebook. So we're streaming live right now on Facebook. You can find my page at Jeff Badu on Facebook. You can also call into the studio line 773-942-7167. Once again, 773-942-7167. So let's get into the topic here. Really, how do you set yourself up as a business owner? When I came to America, or my family came to America, we came in for the American dream, to become business owners. To do something that's more than just clock punching in, punching out. Even my mom told me, she said, if you're out just punching in, punching out, punching the clock, you probably would be doing that for the rest of your life. So for me, I took that to heart, and I went ahead and started a business. My first business was my tax firm, Badu Tax Services, which is now grown into Badu Enterprises, the multinational conglomerate. So we'll just give some few tips, tricks, nothing too heavy, just tips and tricks on how to better yourself as a business owner when it comes to the finances and the taxes. Or if you're an aspiring business owner, this is definitely the segment for you. The first thing as a business owner, when you start a business, or before you're about to start a business, remember, this is critical to know before you even start the business, is that you have to set yourself up correctly when it comes to a legal or entity formation standpoint. There's different ways to set yourself up. And remember, this doesn't matter what type of business you are. I think you should have an entity in place, whether you just started, whether you're 5 years in the business, whether you're selling lemonade on the street, you're a 10-year-old selling lemonade on the street. You should be incorporated or have an entity that protects you in some way, shape, or form. There's three main different types of entities. There's the LLC, or limited liability company. There's the S corporation, and then there's the C corporation. With the LLC, it allows you the flexibility. Essentially, it protects your assets, so it protects your personal assets, meaning if somebody were to sue you, they cannot get a hold of your personal assets. Also, it gives you the opportunity to choose how you want to be taxed. Now, we'll get into that a little later. But basically, as an LLC, you can be taxed as a sole proprietorship, where you fill out a Schedule C on your tax return. A partnership, where you fill out a 1065 on a business tax return. an 1120S S corporation, where you file a business return, or a C corporation 1120, where you also file a separate business return. However, it's not a pass-through entity. So, you know, that those are the two benefits. And then also with the LLC, it's very low maintenance. You know, about $75 a year or so to renew. Probably costs about $150 or so to get it formed. Very low cost, very low maintenance. You should have one, whether you're making $0 in your business or $1 million. I think an LLC is an excellent entity choice. The fact that you get to protect your personal assets, all these good things, I think is awesome, fabulous. Me personally, all of my companies essentially are LLCs from a legal entity standpoint. The next one is the S corporation. S corporation, same thing with the LLC. Basically, an LLC and an S corp are basically the same thing. It's just they call them differently. S corp protects your personal assets from any lawsuits or liabilities. With this one, you get to choose. Essentially, you're taxed as an S corporation, meaning you escape what's known as the FICA tax or the self-employment tax on what's called distributions. So you don't have to pay any self-employment tax anytime you distribute money to yourself, unlike a Schedule C or an LLC that's taxed as a sole proprietorship. So a strategy that we often use with our clients is that we try to convert them, you know, from LLCs to being taxed as an S corp. So you can maintain your LLC status, but you can choose to be taxed as an S corp, or we just form a brand new standalone S corporation. So remember, with an LLC, you get to choose how you want to be taxed. S corp carries tremendous tax benefits. It is the most advantageous when it comes to taxes for a small business. Of course, always consult with an attorney, always consult with a tax advisor when it comes to these strategies. But with the S corp, you know, you protect yourself, you get tremendous tax benefits, and then also this one is a little more high maintenance, so you do have to have bylaws, board meetings, stock certificates, so a little more high maintenance, but overall it does help protect you. This is the reason why I like LLC over S corp, is because LLC is more low maintenance, S corp is more high maintenance. You know, so just something to keep in mind there. And then you have the C corporation. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. One thing about the S corp, so there are a few downfalls. Another reason why I like LLCs versus the standalone S corp is because with an LLC you can have as many owners, so as many owners as you want. You can also have foreign owners, unlike an S corporation. S corporation is limited to 100 owners. You cannot have foreign owners. And basically there's a lot of restrictions regarding who can actually own the S corporation. So LLC doesn't have these types of restrictions. That's why I like it. And then last but not least, C corporation. With a C corporation, you get asset protection. It's high maintenance, but there's double taxation, meaning that when you pay taxes not only on the profits, just like an S corp. So with an S corp, if you make $100,000 net profit, you pay taxes on $100,000 net profit. Same thing with a C corp, same thing with an LLC, tax as a sole proprietorship. But with a C corporation, when you distribute money to yourself in the form of a dividend, you have to pay a capital gains tax or a dividend tax, essentially, which can range between 0 to 20%. So that's the downfall of the C corporation. Is more so a C corporation is more so for bigger companies such as Apple. Before you become public, you have to be a C corp. You know, so just a few things to note with there. We'd like to take a step back and thank the listeners. We have a lot of folks listening. Special shout out to Victor King. He said excited for this topic. And then he also asked the question, outside of using QuickBooks, is utilizing a well-organized Excel sheet beneficial for tax preparers / tax, purposes? I would say absolutely. I'll share what we do in our firm is we use QuickBooks for all the day-to-day tracking, but when it comes like at the very end, we do make a few adjustments to the books using Excel. So QuickBooks helps track everything on an annual or day-to-day basis, and then at the very end of the year, we use Excel to make the necessary adjustments, or we can use QuickBooks to do it. It's just we like to Excel so we can have our final clean set of books, and then we make any adjustments in QuickBooks as necessary. When is the perfect time to embark on a holding company? I think right now. before you start the business is the best time to start a holding company. And then the question, can an LLC be transferred from state to state? If so, is there any cost to doing so? Yes, an LLC, it's not necessarily transferred, but you have to do what's called a foreign entity filing. So if you have a business registered in the state of Illinois and you're looking to do business in Texas, then you have to register your business in Texas as a foreign entity. So you can do business state to state. Now, if you have a physical office in one state and you're just doing business in outside states and you don't have a physical presence there, you usually don't have to register in that state. So very important. This is for more your Amazon businesses, your online. Even my tax firm to this day, we're still registered mainly in one state, which is the state of Illinois. And then there are costs. Every state varies. They will charge you a foreign state filing fee. So great question there from Victor King. Also like to shout out Pakwisi Sam. You know, we have Martin listening, Matthew. We have a lot of people tuned in today, so that's very great. You guys are locked and loaded and tuned in. So let's get back into the topic. You know, we got about 20 to 30 minutes or so here. Why you should incorporate? For the same reasons just stated before. It protects your assets. The number one reason why you should have an LLC, INC, whatever it is to protect your personal assets. You don't want the event where somebody sues you. And me personally, I've been sued before. You know, I've been sued. For example, I have a car rental business, and one of my car renters accidentally hit somebody. You know, and another car renter totaled a car of somebody else. So I've been somebody who's been personally sued in business before. It's not anything that I'm afraid of because I have the legal support to back it up. I have one of the best attorneys that you can ever find on this planet. Goes by Donald Kielbasa. So for me, anytime I give advice, it's usually something that I've been through. You know, so asset protection is very critical. Everything that I do, everything that I have is protected by either a trust or an entity, such as an LLC. I don't do anything in my personal name anymore. You know, it's very important to have these things protected because in the event that you lose a lawsuit, even if it's highly unlikely, it could be the case that they take everything you own. For example, the person that hit the pedestrian, that pedestrian could have very well sued me and could have claimed things that I own personally, which thankfully now I don't own anything personally in my personal name. So in that event, that person, if they were to sue me and win, they wouldn't get anything. Thankfully, they lost the lawsuit, you know, so I still came out on top. Of course, incurred legal fees and things like that. And the good thing is some legal costs can be pushed back to the person who's suing. So for me, asset protection is nothing new. It's very important that you protect your assets, even at the age of 27. This is somebody who, you know, has been through something like this. So you're protecting your personal assets. Remember, it doesn't matter if you have a lemonade stand, you're selling clothes, you're doing tax, whatever you're doing. You got to protect yourself. It also enhances your credibility. When somebody sees the words INC, LLC, they usually take you more serious versus somebody who's just out doing, you know, business in their personal name. They might think it's just a hobby, something that you might do occasionally on the side, which to me, I don't really want to work with a business that's just doing this or appears to be doing this as a hobby. And then also it gives you easier access to capital. So if you're looking to get a small business loan, if you're looking to expand your business, having one of these is truly what it takes to get it. And remember, it doesn't cost really anything, $150 to get your LLC going. It's cost of doing business, nothing when you compare it to the protection that you're receiving. And then last but not least, it gives you tax benefits. Now let's talk about the S Corporation a little bit. The reason why, so when I say S Corporation, I mean both an LLC taxed as an S Corporation or just a standalone S Corporation. The nice thing with an S Corporation is you avoid what's called FICA or Social Security or self-employment taxes. If you are a W-2 employee, this is actually stated on your W-2. It's called FICA, or they'll say SS, Social Security, or Medicare. Just I challenge you to look at your pay stub right now or your W-2, and you'll see those lines on there. As a business owner, as an S Corp owner, you're treated as a shareholder, as an owner of the company, as an investor of your company. With that being said, when you distribute money to yourself outside of W-2 payroll, you don't have to pay FICA, or self-employment tax, which is about 15%. So by becoming an S Corp, you effectively save about 15%. Now, that's not the true savings because there are costs tied to becoming an S Corp. That's the tax savings, but that's not the true savings. The true savings is about between 10 to 12% or so. For example, you get to deduct 1/2 of your FICA on your personal income taxes if you're not an S Corp. So the benefits of becoming an S Corp is you save extra money on taxes. You know, if you need a consultation, I'll give you a free analysis. You know, I do all of that. And this is part of the service that we offer to our clients is we help them minimize their tax liabilities. You know, so that's the benefit of becoming an S Corp is you avoid the self-employment or the FICA tax. The best time to become an S Corp is usually when you're netting over, let's say, $40,000 or so. It usually makes financial sense and tax sense to become an S Corporation. Of course, please, always, anything you're doing, consult with a specialist, consult with a tax advisor, consult with an attorney. Because if you're doing these things on your own, DIYers, you know, do-it-yourselfers, you could really screw up the strategy and get yourself into some big trouble with the IRS. So that's a little bit on, and before we talk, you know, deeply about taxes or anything, you got to make sure you're set up correctly from an entity standpoint. You might also want to consider a trust, you know, a trust fund, a living trust that essentially the living trust owns all the companies. It just adds an extra layer of, you know, privacy / protection. A little beyond the scope of this presentation, but you might want to consider adding a trust to all of this. Me personally, that's what I use as well. So taxes. Why should you file taxes? You know, why in the world are we even talking about this? Because you earn an income. If you earn, as a self-employed individual, if you earn over $400 in net profit, you must file an income tax return. And you might want to anyway, because let's say you get a 1099 for a gross of $10,000, but your expenses are, you know, let's say $9,800, and you net $200. You might think, oh, let's just sleep, you know, not file taxes. Well, the IRS gets that 1099. They don't know about your expenses, so you might want to file so that they know not to send you that big bill for, let's say, $2,000 or so. So it's very important to file, even if you don't think you should file it anyway. Better to be safe than sorry. Consult with the tax professional. TurboTax, I love it. However, when it comes to a business, you got to make sure you know what you're doing. The reason why we file taxes is also to help us stay compliant with tax laws and regulations. The last person you want at your door is the IRS. Everybody essentially has to file annually, and you might also have to do what's known as quarterly estimated tax payments. It doesn't mean you file quarterly. You don't file taxes quarterly. You're simply making quarterly estimated tax payments to the government because they like their money up front as opposed to later. It can help you get a tax refund. So any overpayments you've made throughout the year lands a tax refund. A refund is nothing more than money you've overpaid to the government unless you're receiving the child tax credit, the earned income credit, or the American Opportunity Credit. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm actually giving the same presentation tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. To a group of real estate investors, you know, in the south suburbs of Chicago, live in person. If you're interested in attending, let me know and I can send you more details. But essentially, this presentation is one that I give a lot. This is my first time doing it on the radio, you know, so hopefully you guys gain some insights. And then, last but not least, the reasons why you should file is because you can write off a lot of your expenses as a business owner. Now let's talk specifically about taxes when it comes to your business owner or your self-employed individual. You're allowed to write off basically anything. You know, certain expenses that reduce your tax liability. Remember, write-off is not a tax refund. That's one common misconception. A write-off is not money you're getting back from the IRS. It's simply a reduction of your taxable income to help you pay less taxes or potentially get you a tax refund. In order for a write-off or a business expense to be legitimate, it has to be ordinary and necessary. Ordinary simply meaning that it's ordinary in your business. It's very ordinary for a tax firm to have a tax software. It's ordinary for a tax firm to advertise. It's ordinary for a tax firm to have an assistant. Ordinary expenses. Now, necessary simply means that it's necessary for you to advance your business. It's very necessary for me to eat out with clients. Extremely necessary. It's very necessary for me to travel for business. That's how I grow my business. I'm a global, we run a global company. So in order for me to grow my business, I need to go to places like Jamaica. I need to go to places like Thailand to grow the business. You'll get where I'm going in a second, if you haven't already. But a business expense must be ordinary and necessary. Remember, not necessary meaning that it's absolutely necessary for you to have it. It's just necessary for you to grow your business. So just something to keep in mind there. And we do have to take a quick pause on the live really quick. But I'll just keep going. So yeah, if you do have a question or anything that you want to chime in, 7. So yeah, sorry about the small delay there, but just needed to make sure everything was straight. So yeah, just had a few technical difficulties. Sorry about that. But essentially, you want to make sure that your tax write-off is ordinary and necessary. So very important to, when it comes to taxes, is to make sure that your write-offs are ordinary and necessary. Some examples of tax write-offs include meals, travel, if you pay any fees, so if you're paying people or if you're paying any subscriptions, things of that nature, those are different things that you can write off on the taxes. And then also you have retirement savings. So as a business owner, you have the opportunity to really save a lot for retirement. We won't get too deeply into this. We actually have a special segment just for this alone. But you can save quite a tremendous amount for retirement. You can save up to about $56,000 or so per year just in your business alone. There's other ways to save. But business owners can save more for retirement than your traditional standard W-2 employee. Now let's get deeper into some more examples of write-offs. You have home office. So you can write off your home office. You can use the square footage method, or you can use the actual method where you're writing off your actual expenses. So they call it the simplified versus the regular method. You can write off health insurance premiums. So any health insurance that you pay as a business owner, you can actually write off. One half, so this is where it gets a little complicated, 1/2 of the FICA or self-employment tax, which you might want to consider becoming an S corporation in order to avoid most of the FICA or self-employment tax. So that's just a little bit, and there's a lot of strategies, by the way. For example, I'm taking a trip to Jamaica at the end of this year. And essentially it becomes a tax write-off because as an LLC or, as a business entity, I essentially I can have board meetings during the year. So as part of the trip is a board meeting. And when I have a board meeting, I'm allowed to write off those expenses, the travel, the flight ticket, the meals that I have, any sort of lunches, anything that I have or anything that I spent essentially during that trip, it becomes a tax deduction. So this is one of the reasons why I became a business owner, was to have tax benefits. I heard that tax benefits are very lucrative when it comes to business owners. So that's another reason why I decided to follow the American dream and start a business. So that's just a recap. If you need more details, follow up, anything like that, we can get more into it. Just schedule a one-on-one, a follow-up. We can definitely get more into the topic. But that's just something to note when it comes to tax deductions, tax write-offs, things of that nature. So now let's talk about how do you track all of this stuff, just really quickly. I usually recommend QuickBooks. QuickBooks is a software for business owners, or a site for business owners to keep track of their business income and expenses. QuickBooks allows you to automatically download and categorize transactions, participate in online billing, create professional invoices and estimates, upload receipts through your phone, and create customized financial reports as well as track inventory. So it allows you to do a lot of different things. It's a full-blown accounting software for business owners. It has a nice professional look and feel. You can send professional looking invoices, things of that nature. And it is rated the best software for small businesses in the industry. A lot of discounts offered. Is actually very inexpensive. Starts off at about $5 a month or so. And it saves business owners a ton of time and money when it comes to tax deductions. One con is that it does require some pretty extensive training. And not fully extensive, but you do have to know what you're doing. So at least one training or so will be enough to get you going. So that's how you track. So as a recap, as far as what we talked about, and sorry for the technical glitch, but essentially, when it comes to a business, you want to make sure that you're set up correctly. So you want to make sure you have your LLC, your INC, your corporate structure correct. Seek the advice of an attorney, of an accountant. We actually run an entity formation company, so we do help form companies. So just make sure you are incorporated, and you have LLC, S corporation, and C corporation. And then with taxes, make sure you're filing every single year, especially as a business owner. You get to deduct business expenses. You get write-offs, meals, travel, fees, utilities, dues, subscriptions, advertising. I mean, there's so many. There's a long list of things you can write off, and then you can also save more for retirement as a business owner. And also, part of your compliance requirement is making sure that you're tracking a lot of this stuff too. So it's very important that you're tracking these things through sites such as QuickBooks, which is my recommendation. So definitely thank everyone for chiming in. Appreciate Victor for his comments, his questions. Definitely, it's nice to know that we have some folks that are tuned in. But yeah, we'll continue the discussion. Next week or so, we'll do one when it comes to real estate investments, how to save on taxes as a real estate investor, and we'll do many more segments this year and next year. So definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. So thank you guys for tuning in to WJC 98.3 FM, your voice of music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I look forward to continuously delivering you all some content. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned something, and we'll be in touch. Thank you guys.
90.3 FM.
Yo, but we are nothing friend from the first time after dressing